9mm+P is just as powerful as 357 SIG. I've heard that said quite a bit, and a lot of my subscribers have heard that said quite a bit. So I thought I would put this to the test the most fair way I think I can. So we have some Federal HST 124 grain plus P versus some Federal HST 125 grain HST 357 SIG. So we're only a difference of 1 grain. We're going to use essentially the same pistols here. This is our Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 5-inch barrel and 40 Smith & Wesson with a conversion barrel to make it 357 SIG. Our 9mm is also the same pistol. It's a M&P 2.0 5-inch barrel. The only difference in these pistols is that 40 slide is just a hair wider, but they're essentially the same pistols. So we're going to see if 9mm+P is just as good as 357 SIG. So I am going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy I get at the same time. Then I'm going to do my 10% clear ballistic test. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. What I want to do is I want to do kind of like a best case scenario versus more of a real world scenario. So I'm just going to go through plain clear ballistics, no denim, no MDF, right into clear ballistics, and that will kind of represent our best case scenario. You know, if you had to make a shot on somebody that was, you know, naked or wearing a t-shirt or something where there's not going to be a lot of heavy denim in there, versus what I would consider more real world, that would be 4 layers of denim. And that's legit because I was looking at my winter coat earlier and there's at least 4 layers of denim there. So you want to go through testing, you know, worst case in the real world. And then we have some 1/4 inch MDF after 3 inches of clear ballistics. This represents hitting ribs or sternum. And we'll see how the two compare versus, you know, real world versus best case scenario. And then I'm going to shoot from a little distance at my steel silhouette to see what kind of practical accuracy we can get. So let's get started with this test. Our 9mm is rated at 1200 feet per second. Our 357 SIG is rated at 1360 feet per second. So our rated velocity alone, it shows that there is a difference, but rated versus real world is sometimes different. So let's start with our 9mm, 5 yards from the target, 4 yards from the chronograph. Let's see how close we get to 1200 feet per second. I believe that's to a 4-inch barrel. So let's see what we get with our 9mm. 1204. 1211, 1214, 1097, interesting, 1282. So we had some inconsistencies there for sure. Don't know why that is, but they were inconsistent. But our average is going to be up there around 1200. So 357 SIG. Let's see if there's a difference. See how close we are to 1360 feet per second. 1467. 1448, 1433, no read. Let me try to get one more. 1459. So, you know, the same ammunition company loading, you know, the ammunition at the same place. We're definitely seeing that there is a big difference there. Recoil is not that much different, but big difference in velocity. Let's hit our ballistics gel block. We'll do one shot with the 9mm. One shot with the 357 SIG with just plain clear ballistics, and then we'll move on to our real world scenario test. All right, let's do our best case scenario, just plain clear ballistics with our 9mm+P. Try our 357 SIG now. All right, above that with our 357 SIG, see how it does. Let's go take a look. All right, so that gives us a pretty clear difference there in what we're seeing between the two of these. Our 357 SIG definitely has more damage. I would guess about 50% more damage in that damage path, that wound track there, than the 9mm, and we went deeper. So our 9mm went to about 13.5 inches, which is totally acceptable. Our 357 SIG went to about 14.5 inches, so a little over an inch more. Let's try our real world scenario test now and see how they compare that way. All right, here's our real world scenario. 4 layers of denim like a coat, 3 inches of clear ballistics, a 1/4 inch MDF to represent hitting ribs or sternum. And that's legit because when you train, most people train to shoot center mass, and arm level is about here. So let's see what we get with our ribs or sternum shot here. 9mm+P. Let's try a 357 SIG now. All right, real world 357 SIG. Let's see how it does. Let's go take a look. So through our MDF, there's not a difference, and there really shouldn't be. These, you know, are both 9mm bullets, but I can see here with the 357 SIG, there's a couple little marks. Like that velocity is so high, we're fragmenting jacket or something like that, and hitting that. And what we're seeing here, our 9mm on the bottom, it's just like with the plain gel test. What we're looking at is right at about 15 inches. So that would indicate, you know, that the denim and the MDF potentially lowered that expansion and made the bullet smaller, made it penetrate a little deeper. So yeah, 15 inches. Our 357 SIG, quite a bit more damage up there, and we also penetrated to about 17 inches. So you're kind of getting a little bit better of both worlds there, because you're getting more damage and you're getting more penetration, which could be a big deal in the real world, you know, because if your ammo's unpredictable, you know, you're not necessarily going to do very well. But if you know 100% you got the power to get the job done, that kind of matters. So let me shoot from, I think I'll do 40 yards. A lot of people like to see that and just see what kind of practical accuracy I can get. All right, 40 yards from the target. You know, a lot of times people like to complain that I shoot a little bit too fast, I miss more than I should. And that is sometimes true. They're not necessarily wrong about that. You know, it gets cold out here, I get tired. But let me just try to slow it down and see if I can make some better hits. So 9mm+P, see how this does. Alright, nothing wrong with that. 357 SIG now. Little more recoil. I said it wasn't much different, and it really isn't. It just feels a little bit different. So will that affect my accuracy? So see how the 357 SIG does for me. All right, so both of those seem to shoot pretty well at 40 yards. Definitely a difference in felt recoil. You saw there with my first shot, you know, I didn't necessarily reposition my grip. A lot of people get the misconception when they see me shoot when I move this thumb that I'm repositioning my grip, but they don't understand with my rheumatoid arthritis and everything. I'm actually not gripping with this hand at all. I've got 100% of my grip right here. So sometimes you'll see recoil, and because I'm not gripping, this moves, and I'll just move it back. But you saw that it moved it back enough that I had to reposition that thumb just where it was setting. So there was a little bit of difference there in the the recoil. As with the 9mm, I didn't feel any sliding whatsoever. So the 9mm definitely shot easier for me. But with this, the thing is, you're getting pretty much the power of a 357 Magnum with nowhere near the recoil. You know, pretty much like a 40 Smith & Wesson is what this feels like. So just a little bit of jump up from 9mm, lower recoil than 45 ACP, way lower recoil than 357 Magnum. So this is actually pretty pleasant to shoot as well. So it's kind of hard for me to like say, oh, the recoil was so much greater. Actually, for what you're getting, the recoil isn't that high at all. So between the two of these, obviously the 357 mag did better, or 357 SIG I should say, but looking at the 9mm from a 5-inch pistol, that didn't do bad either. So you could theoretically say that the 9mm+P is just as good as the 357 SIG, and when it comes to potentially the job at hand, maybe. However, a lot of the real world scenarios I've seen with footage of police shootings and stuff like that, we're seeing stuff like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 rounds of 9mm, and it's not doing the job. And then I'll see video and another one, somebody's using a 357 SIG, it's one shot, drop, one shot, drop. So I think that little extra velocity, and this is doing the job well. So that's what you get today. Basically looking at the numbers, no, 9mm+P is not going to rival this. And we saw with the energy numbers of this, and if you look at some of my past tests with Buffalo Bore, Underwood, I've ran 9mm+P+, which is not even Sammy spec, with 115, 124, 147 grain. Didn't even come close to the energy of this 357 SIG. So straight numbers, no, the 9mm+P isn't just as good as the 357 SIG, but just as good for shooting bullets, I suppose. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.